everyone, and welcome back to Brown Coat Reviews. I'm your host, Laura. Now here at Brown Coat Reviews, we do comic book reviews where we go in-depth into the stories, we go behind the scenes where we talk to different shops, artists, creators, we also show off some cool collections, and we have everyone's favorite show, Married with Comics, where my husband and I talk about what it's like to be a married couple who both read comic books. It does happen. Now, before we get started, I do want to give a quick announcement that we are doing a 500 subscriber giveaway. So in order to qualify for that giveaway, you must be subscribed to the channel. Also, we are doing a separate giveaway for people who are participating in the comment sections on these videos. So please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel because we are going to be giving away some amazing things once we hit our 500 mark. So please join us for that wonderful journey. And we will be talking to you all very soon in the comments. Today we're talking about the Bad Idea Comics recent release title, Whalesville, Rocks and Minerals. Now these are two short story, kind of one-shot tales that are sort of wrapped up in one book. So when you look at the Bad Idea Comics issues that are available, we have Enoch, which is definitely an adventure story, Tankers, which if you haven't checked out my video, I described this as Avatar meets Jurassic Park. So definitely action-adventure. And Whalesville, on the other hand, is a completely different target audience. This is meant to be a story for kids. So when I hear young adult title, I'm picturing kind of preteens. No, this is young adult. So this story would be safe to read to a 5-year-old. Both stories are very simple. Their concepts could be written out on one page, and the themes tend to be the same for both stories. So if you have a young adult at home, they may absolutely love this story. I really liked the Whalesville story. It was cute. Rocks and Minerals, not so much. So let's start with Whalesville. Now, Whalesville starts with our different characters. We have a crab, we have a seagull, we have a seahorse, and we have a fish. And all of them have sort of created this world and their little town of Whalesville inside of the belly of a whale. So every single day, of course, the whale eats and sort of swallows up all the gunk that's in the ocean. And once that tide comes in, then all the creatures sort of grab their food and then they start taking some of the scavenging bits and they use it to build their town. In their eyes, this is what their world is. They do not believe that there is anything good beyond the walls of this whale, because to them, they don't realize that that's where they are. They know that there is a hole in the ceiling, but that's what gives them air, and they have no desire to go into that light. To them, the belly of the whale is the safe place, out there is scary. Eventually there is a child who gets swallowed by the whale, and that's where our story starts to take a bit more of a turn within the characters, and you know that the little boy realizes that he has been swallowed by a whale, and at one point he does try to convince the others to leave, that there's more to life than just Whalesville. But they're not ready. They're scared. And again, their ignorance and their focus in on just this little world keeps them from being willing to step out. I could talk philosophically about how this concept could mimic what's going on today in our society and how people are hyper-focused in on their lives and they're only willing to see the picture for what its limitations are, and how we're all stuck in a belly of a whale and all we need to do is step out beyond our ignorances and open ourselves up to, you know, the world, and then suddenly you'll realize that there's more to life than our little humdrum prejudices. Or I could just say, hey, it's a story about some creatures that are stuck in the belly of a whale, and a little boy gets stuck in the belly of the whale, and he realizes that he's stuck there, and the others don't. Ta-da! Will I spoil the end of the story? No. Can you predict what happens at the end of this story? Yes. Absolutely. But again, this is meant to be a very young adult reader story. So the concepts aren't meant to be that complicated. The story is just meant to be simple and fun and enjoyable, and it's not meant to leave you with anything other than sort of a fluffy feeling, because it's a kid's story. We need to have our happily ever after. I will say with Whalesville, when I finished it, I definitely agreed that this was a story for kids, but I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset. I was just like, oh, okay, that was cute. I won't read it again, but it was cute. Then we go into Rocks and Minerals. This is where the art starts going in a slightly different direction, and it gets beyond cute. Instead, it just, in some ways, it looks a little ridiculous. So we do have these rocks and stones that are rocks and minerals, I should say, that are now walking around, and they've got little smiles on their faces. And they are not allowed into the unpolished zone, which the unpolished rocks are basically the raw rocks that have not been polished in essence by humans. And we find out more about the soft-skinned people, which is basically humans. We find out a little bit about the world before the rocks were polished. And again, the ignorance of the people who assume that there is nothing in this world beyond their little zone of the polished zone. And yes, the queen is a diamond. The daughter, the princess, is a diamond, or at least a crystal of some kind. And then eventually we meet a turtle. And the turtle is found in the unpolished zone, and everyone thinks that he's a rock. And they realize that no, he's not a rock, he's a living creature, and now we've got to save the turtle. Again, I'm not giving you the ending of the story, but I bet you can piece together what happens. This one, Rocks and Minerals, it was just kind of dumb. And I mean, I don't like saying negative, heinously negative, very opinionated things against other stories, because I do respect the writers, I do respect the artists. But this one, I didn't care about the rocks and minerals. I didn't care about the unpolished versus polished world. I liked the turtle. Okay. But even the turtle didn't have an awful lot to say or do or achieve. So there were just a lot of things that was really missing for the story. I didn't find the characters very funny. The drawings weren't very cute and enjoyable. Instead, it was just another short story, kid story, and it didn't achieve anything for me. So yes, it is another story about the ignorance of people, and yeah, I could go into a 5-minute rant about how highly educated and the themes and but really, it was just a story about the rocks and minerals and finding out the truth about the world beyond their polished zone. Which, didn't we just achieve that in the last story? About how they were stuck in the body of a whale and they refused to believe that there was a world beyond the body of the whale? Or at least the stomach. So we're repeating ourselves, but with less likable characters. I wasn't that impressed. My other big challenge is, if you look at this compared to other children's stories, I've loved a lot of them. I mean, so many of us grew up with so many great kids' stories. So I know if my mother was picking stories for us as kids, I know the first thing she would have looked at was, oh, okay, well, rocks and minerals. She enjoys rocks and minerals. She enjoys scientific topics. And yet there is nothing helpful, scientific, useful in rocks and minerals. So I'm not finding the character depth. I'm not finding that, teach me something really cool about rocks, which I know cool and rocks in the same story, same sentence is a bit of a reach, but there's nothing there. It was just a story. And I think that's my biggest problem with it. There's been a ton of hype about Bad Idea Comics. And yes, I will continue to keep grabbing them and reviewing them because I am curious if one of these is going to be the one that I'm like, yes, that was worth the ticket price. It was a great story and I can't wait to read it again and I can't wait to show it to you all. Sadly, this one was retailed at $9.99. Do I think it's worth $9.99? No. This one I would probably just skip, to be very, very honest. I wouldn't waste the money unless you have a young child that is really interested in animal life, whales, or maybe a kid who likes different rocks. You know, maybe they could enjoy it a little bit more than I did, but overall, there's so many other great titles. I think they really missed the mark on this, and I wish that the advertising would have made it clear that this was a young adult story, not just a one-shot about a child in a whale's belly. I read the description before I bought it, and I was hoping for a little bit more from the storyline. So my question for all of you is, very simply, did you grab Whalesville at Rocks and Minerals? Did you like it? Am I being too harsh? Because if I am, I mean, I will own it. Did you enjoy both stories, or were you like me where Whalesville was good? Rocks and Minerals not so much? Or were you vice versa? Did you love Rocks and Minerals and you couldn't stand Whalesville? I don't know. Tell me. For the other parents out there that are trying to find titles for their young children, so I'm talking 10 and under, is there a title, a comic book title, that you highly recommend that parents grab instead of this one? And as always, this is Laura from Brown Coat Reviews. I look forward to seeing you all in the comments, and I will talk to you all again next time. Have a great day.